Hello everybody, welcome back to Strictly Story Mode Gaming. I hope you're keeping your spirits up whichever way you can. Today I wanted to share with you the story of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and hopefully give you a few moments of diversion from the grave situation we're in. Ori and the Will of the Wisps from Moon Studios is for me an exceedingly rare game that I think even non-gamers, or just about any human being with eyeballs, should see. We're totally lucky to live in an age where good-looking video games are a dime a dozen, but the painted storybook visuals of Ori have such an exceptional imaginative charm, it makes you want to be a kid again. This game's sheer abundance of gratifying artistry made me want to struggle through a genre of gaming that I normally won't touch. Yup, I have never cursed so much in my entire life, and I hope you enjoy Ori's amazing visuals without the pain of 1,000 spiky deaths. This game is a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is worth revisiting for Ori's origin story. One stormy night, a good-natured forest creature of impressive girth named Naru comes upon a newborn Ori. Ori is a guardian spirit who fell from the spirit tree as a feather. Naru adopts Ori and raises her most lovingly and selflessly. Happy family scenes only lead to one thing in video games. A destructive flash kills the forest, eventually leading to Naru withering away from starvation. Moon Studios is not satisfied with merely tugging at your heartstrings. They yank pretty hard, so be ready. The thing to remember about Ori's world is that dead characters are often revived by the magic of video game quest completion. Orphaned Ori gives up all hope in his last breath. Now that I've cheered everyone up, let's get on with the sequel. Ori and the Will of the Wisps continues as the restored family plus a spider creature named Gumo adopts an owlet named Ku hatched from the last remaining egg of one of the characters in the previous game. The early cutscenes of the family raising Ku throughout the seasons is quite long by video gaming standards, but Moon Studios has to establish the warmth and close-knit relationship of Ori's family to yank the feels out of you later on. The long opening cutscenes are touching and worth seeing in their entirety, so I've uploaded them separately for both Ori games and put a link in the description. Ku is born with a wing defect, but with the help of a feather prosthetic, he is able to fly. If these opening scenes didn't tug at your heartstrings, then you're a synth and you should get your emotional sensitivity module upgraded. This game has more feels than a Korean drama, so if you don't like being pulled for feels, this is not a game for you. In an Ori game, everything significant happens during a storm. Yup, you know what's totally coming. A fateful storm separates Ori and Ku, setting up the main questline for the game. Let's see now, when have we ever been asked to look for somebody in a video game? Search for a kidnapped son, or an adopted daughter, or your father's killer? Did I say father's killer? But somehow, Moon Studios manages to keep it fresh and compelling, and you really do want to find Ku. Before you can find your owl buddy lost in the woods, Ori has to traverse unfamiliar hostile terrain and fight a cavalcade of enemy critters and lizards. Most central search quests tend to be a convoluted daisy chain of finding intermediary characters who might know something. They often have busy, unrelated work that leads nowhere. Thankfully, Ori keeps the main quest straight and narrow. Here, Ori has to find the benevolent guardian of the marsh named Prolog, who knows where Ku might be. Prolog asks you to clear the clog at the wellspring watermill, which is making the polluted waters untraversable for Ori to get to. Great Toad would go with you, except, you know, reasons. Ori has to fix mechanical and critter problems clogging the wellspring. The main thing that's fouling up the wellspring is this tentacled beast polluting all the water. You're not gonna fight that. Moon Studios blends the player's free movements with cinematic cutscenes in a way that gives you that cool feeling of playing an interactive animated movie. Hallmark to this game are these epic chase sequences that test every new ability you better have mastered. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is not a relaxing game, and various muscles in your body are going to clench like never before. While Ori games contain incredible artistry that can be universally admired, unfortunately most humans will not play this game. Ori games are a hardcore precision platformer that punishes any lapse in hand-eye coordination. First, for my non-gaming friends, let's take a 2-minute detour on platformers. The simplest platforming mechanic you'll recognize instantly is jumping between different height surfaces. More often than not, you dodge hazards. Back in the dark ages of video gaming, platformers ruled the roost. But the genre has evolved from its earlier console origins of simple linear level progression to a more sophisticated medium for storytelling and artistry. Platformers are a surprisingly diverse genre. Gris is a more contemplative puzzle platformer that does not kill you or force you to kill. However, such soft platformers for casuals like me are much less common than the devilishly difficult hardcore platformers. Just that core game loop of jumping and dodging and dying over and over is not fun for me. Me? I like to be immersed and forget I'm even playing a video game.
Are you seeing this? Okay. Here, look. Well, good for you, I guess. Yes, come on!
However, I value one thing more than immersion in gaming, and that's exploration. It's a delicious thrill to finally gain access to a new area. There is one subgenre of platformers called Metroidvanias that are built for just such exploration. And the Ori games? They are the deluxe Bentleys of Metroidvanias. Ori games have massive interconnected maps that you continually loop back when you learn new abilities. Here, I couldn't get past these blocks until I learned how to swim dash. Each new area is truly a visual treat. This is the best looking 2D side-scroller that's ever existed. But I'm not gonna lie, this game was really hard for somebody like me. Yeah, my fingers are stiff as twigs. I'm just not this kind of Korean. So back to Ori's sad story. Will Ori's family reunite ever again? That's all up to your platforming skills. Before you find Ku in the Silent Woods, you have to clear a poisonous swamp. It wasn't the epic chases or the boss battles that was the hardest for me, but environments that can insta-kill you. And touching any part of the swamp? That's right, I died a dozen times. Although I absolutely hated the swamp early game, when Ori gets all the superpowers at the end, it is a ton of fun clearing the swamp without using any bubbles. I saw a speedrunner finish this game without ever finding Ku. I guess cuddle scenes eat up too much time. Knew you couldn't trust Moon Studios with happy reunions. I'm gonna leave this story here as a cliffhanger for another time and wrap things up. There is so much more to cover beyond the story. The superb sound design and pitch-perfect OST, how Moon Studios gives this 2D side-scroller so much depth using lighting, black dark spaces, particle effects, the technical aspects of the platforming mechanics and progression and combat system. I will save all this for another time. Even though this game was not without its flaws, my eyes and ears count Ori in my top 5 digital sensory experiences of all time. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is really the first platformer that made me want to get good, and little by little, traversal challenges became less impossible. I learned my fingers could squeak through platformers if I was motivated enough.
Well, good for you, I guess.
When I finally made it to the Windtorn Ruins, one of the last destinations before the endgame, I was so happy and proud in a way that I hadn't been in other open world games. Thank you for joining me, and for those with nimble fingers, I truly hope you do get a chance to prance around as Ori, which is one of the unique must-try pleasures of gaming. I leave you now with some extra platforming footage. Let's meet again in the next world.